Imagine this. A storm is raging over a lonely highway, rain pelting down on a leather-jacketed biker who just wants to ride home in peace. Out of nowhere, a small figure stumbles onto the road, nearly collapsing in front of his motorcycle. It's a little black girl, no older than 10, barefoot, her dress soaked through, her face streaked with tears and fear. She runs straight to him, clutches his arm with trembling hands, and whispers through sobs, "Please, hide me from my dad. Don't let him find me." The biker freezes, confused and torn, but something in her eyes, raw terror, the kind you can't fake, forces him to listen. He doesn't know it yet, but in a few hours, he'll uncover the truth inside the old backpack she's carrying, and it will change both of their lives forever. If the story touched your heart, show your love, like, share, and comment your thoughts. The biker's name was Ethan Cole, 35 years old, rough around the edges with a history of broken bones, broken promises, and a past he rarely spoke of. The storm had driven him off his usual route that night. As the girl collapsed at his feet, Ethan quickly killed the engine, pulling off his helmet. "Hey, kid, what's going on? Where's your mom?" he asked, kneeling down. The girl shook her head violently. "I can't go home. Please, mister. Please don't let him find me. He'll be looking. He always looks." Her voice cracked with a desperation Ethan hadn't heard since his own childhood. Her name, he later learned, was Amara Johnson. At first, Ethan thought maybe it was just another runaway story, the kind he'd read in newspapers, kids making things sound worse than they were. But when Amara winced at the sound of thunder, curling into herself as though bracing for a blow, his chest tightened. Something was deeply wrong. All right, Ethan muttered, standing and glancing around. The highway was empty, shadows stretching under the storm clouds. "Come on, kid. I'll get you somewhere safe." He grabbed her small hand and led her toward his bike. That's when he noticed it. A tattered, oversized backpack strapped to her shoulders. It looked too heavy for her tiny frame, sagging with something bulky inside. She clutched it tightly whenever he tried to help her adjust it. "What's in the bag?" he asked casually, trying not to scare her. Amara hugged it closer. "It's all I have. Please don't take it." Ethan nodded. "All right, no one's taking it." He got her onto the back of the bike, wrapping his spare jacket around her trembling body. As they rode into town, Ethan's mind raced. He didn't know the full story, but he knew this, he couldn't just leave her. They ended up at a roadside diner, the kind of place with flickering neon lights and the smell of old coffee seeping through the walls. Ethan guided her inside, ignoring the curious stares from the few late-night customers. In a booth at the back, Amara sat silently, her eyes darting toward the door every time it creaked open. Ethan ordered her a hot chocolate and grilled cheese. When the plate arrived, she devoured it like she hadn't eaten in days. "Amara," Ethan said softly, leaning across the table, "why are you running from your dad?" Her little hands froze on the mug. Tears filled her eyes, spilling over. Because he hurts me. And because," she hesitated, clutching the backpack like a lifeline, "because of what's in here. If he finds it, he'll never stop." Ethan didn't press. He could see the raw fear written on her face. But deep inside he burned with anger. He knew what it meant for a child to fear their own parent. He'd lived it once. Before Ethan could say more, the diner door banged open. A tall, broad man with wild eyes stormed inside, dripping rain from his coat. Ethan's instincts screamed. This had to be him. "Anybody seen a little black girl?" the man barked, scanning the diner. His voice carried a cruel edge that made even the waitress flinch. Amara's hand shot across the table, gripping Ethan's tightly. She shook her head, eyes wide, silently begging. Ethan slid out of the booth calmly, planting himself between the man and Amara. "What's the problem?" he asked, his voice cold. The man's glare shifted. "My daughter. She ran off. I need her back. She doesn't look like she wants to go, Ethan replied evenly. The man sneered. She's my blood. Not your business, biker. Something primal lit in Ethan's chest. He remembered nights hiding from his own drunk father, praying anyone would step in. Now it was his turn to be that someone. You should leave, Ethan said firmly. The man took a step forward, fists clenched. But before anything could happen, the diner manager threatened to call the cops. The man spat curses and stormed out, slamming the door so hard it rattled the windows. Amara exhaled shakily, collapsing against the seat. Ethan sat beside her, wrapping a protective arm around her trembling shoulders. For the first time all night, she whispered, "Thank you." They ended up at Ethan's garage, a cluttered but safe space where he worked on bikes. Amara curled up on an old sofa, clutching the backpack like treasure. Ethan gave her a blanket, then sat across from her, his curiosity gnawing. "You don't have to show me what's inside," he said gently. "But if it's something dangerous, I need to know." Her eyes flicked to him, torn between trust and fear. Finally, with trembling hands, she unzipped the bag. Ethan leaned forward. Inside were wads of crumpled bills, stacks of envelopes stuffed with cash, and a small, cracked photo of a woman, Amara's mother. Ethan's eyes widened. "Where did you get this?" Amara's lips trembled. "It's my mom's money. She saved it before she died. She told me it was for me, for when I was old enough to leave. But Dad found it last night. He said it was his now. He tried to take it all." Her small fists tightened around the photo. "I couldn't let him, so I ran." Ethan's heart ached. This wasn't just a scared little girl. This was a survivor, fighting to protect the last piece of her mother. He swallowed hard, making a silent vow. He wouldn't let her go back. Morning came with pale sunlight through the garage windows. Ethan knew the police would have to be involved. There was no other way. But Amara clung to his sleeve, terrified. "What if they send me back to him?" she whispered. Ethan knelt down, meeting her eyes. "Not if I stand with you. Not if we tell them the truth." Together, they walked into the town's child services office. At first, officials were skeptical. But when Ethan presented the money, the bruises on Amara's arms, and the story she bravely told through tears, everything shifted. Her father was arrested within hours. For the first time in years, Amara smiled. A fragile, hopeful smile. As she was placed with a kind foster family, Amara hugged Ethan tightly. "You were the first person who believed me," she whispered. "You were the first person who didn't let him take me." Ethan's throat tightened. He watched her walk away, her backpack still slung over her shoulder. Not just a bag anymore, but a symbol of survival and hope. And as he swung his leg over his bike again, he realized something. Sometimes the road leads you to people you never expected, but exactly who you were meant to save.